We've made it through inventory prep, pre-count, and recording. The next step in our inventory is variance. Variance is arguably the most important step of our inventory. This is our chance to correct any errors we've made through the process. Please take your time and make sure we do everything we can to correct any errors we've made. During variance, you will remain partnered with your recording teammate. You will work together to recount products that CDNet has identified as having a different quantity than we counted during our inventory. Each count team will get reports similar to the one now showing on screen. I will highlight the different information on the report and explain what we do during the variance process. Your first step is to initial the top of each page you get throughout this process. This allows us to know who to speak to if we have questions later in the day or even after inventory. Second, do not use a red pen during variance. I repeat, do not use a red pen. Red pens are reserved for auditors during variance. We do not want to anger the auditors. The next thing to remember is to never write in the area marked in red on the variance report. Write anywhere but in that area. That area is reserved for the auditors to make the needed corrections to our counts. Again, don't anger the auditors. The next column, shown in green, is bin location. This data comes from CEDNet, not Latitude. Ignore this information. Latitude will provide you with the correct bin locations, as I will demonstrate shortly. The column in yellow indicates our counts during inventory. This is the number we counted during the inventory process. This is the number we will need to verify during variance. This next column in blue indicates the quantity CEDNet thinks we have. If it is different than what we counted, then that product is placed on this report. This column is for reference only. It can help you determine if boxes are counted as one, or as the quantity in the box. It can help you decide if you need to try looking harder for locations where product exists, but didn't get counted during our inventory, and thus Latitude won't show where they are. The next columns in orange show how much our inventory counts were different than CEDNet and the cost of that difference. Again, it is for reference only. Higher dollar amounts indicate you should be extra careful in verifying, but we need to count every product regardless of the cost in this column. These last two columns in purple can be ignored completely. During variance, you will use a scanner to look up the bin locations for each count in the counted column. You will then recount the products in all bin locations to see if our count is correct or if we counted incorrectly. If you find the counts are correct, make a check mark next to the number in the counted column highlighted in yellow. If you find an incorrect count, you will need to call for an auditor to correct the count on the sticker and in Latitude. Only auditors can make the corrections. But you don't need to figure out why our inventory count is different than the on-hand quantity. Our job is to simply verify that the inventory count is correct or not. I'll show you how to use Latitude to find the bin locations for each product you need to recount. The permissions on your scanner will be restricted during variance. Only auditors can make changes to the counts, so your login will be limited to the options seen here. Basically, you can only find where products are and the counts in those locations. There are 3 ways to find where you need to go to recount product. From the main menu, select number 1, Find. You can scan the product's barcode and you will see all the locations where that product was counted. If you don't have the barcode, you can manually type in the manufacturer and catalog number and get the bin location data. And finally, the third option is to press the F2 search button. You can type in a partial part number and get a list from which you can select from to get the bin location information. Let's try to recount a few of the items on our report. We'll start with the caddy SCH6B. We can see that this was counted in one location, so we will head there and recount it. Here's the shelf and here's the product. We confirm that each box is SCH6B. The 5 full boxes make 500. I'll need to recount the open box. As you can see, I'm a very fast counter and come up with 102 loose, making a total of 602 in this bin. That matches the count in Latitude, so using any pen that is not red, we make a check mark next to the count on a report and move on. Let's try the caddy TB45PK. Latitude shows it counted in 3 locations. I quickly count the first location and it's correct. I get to the second location and it's up high. I'll need to get a ladder or scissor lift to verify this one. After getting some help, I confirm it's not there. At the third location, I also find the product is missing. With product missing at these locations, I double check other products in those bins, looking for matching count numbers to see if they got counted as another product. In this case, I find a count of 25 16MB18As at the third location that Latitude doesn't show as counted, but it has a sticker of 25. This box mistakenly got counted as TB45PKs. Now I get the pleasure of yelling, "Auditor!" The auditor will hustle over to look at your counts, verify them, and use their own scanner to make the corrections to the counts in each location, including the count of the 16MB18A, which you didn't show on your report, but the discrepancy was found and needs correcting. The auditor makes notes in red on your sheet as seen here. Once the auditor makes the changes on your sheet and you make the changes to the sticker on the product, you're ready to move on. Now I'll show you a few things to look for and answer a few questions you may have while you're doing variance. One thing to look for as we're doing variance is to make sure that products aren't mixed together into one count. As you can see here, we have QO2125VHs mixed with QO2125s, so we're going to have to correct those counts. Here's another example of mixed products into one count. These look like three of the same boxes, but as you start to move the boxes around, you see that that middle box is different than the other two. So here we'd have to make two corrections, one for each part number. While doing variance, we want to be extra careful on our counts. You can see here we've got a lot of items in a stack here, stacks of different sizes. We want to make sure we count that very carefully, pull out a calculator, make sure the math was done correctly, and make sure we get a good accurate count on that again. Latitude will likely direct you to some upper bins to make some recounts. That's going to be very difficult from the floor. We will have multiple scissor lifts out and about in the warehouse with people manning them. Call them over, have them make those counts for you so we can get an accurate count. Latitude says I have counts in building 3 and 4. Do I need to count those? Yes, you do. Run on over there and count like you did in building 1. We'll have some scissor lifts and ladders in those locations as well to get the stuff that's higher up, but let's make the counts and get it accurate. If Latitude shows a count in X1, you don't need to run over there to count. We will have people over there to make those counts. Simply recount everything you can here on this campus, making changes to the counts in each bin as necessary with an auditor. For the count in X1, write down the part number, bin location, and quantity. On the bottom of your paper is demonstrated in pink, and we'll get that information to X1 to verify those counts. You were lucky and got the yard for variance. It's cold and snowy. Do you really need to recount those easily counted lifts that no one could count wrong the first time? Yes, we need you to recount and verify the quantities. Please dress warm and take breaks indoors as needed, but take the time to make sure our counts are correct. At least it's indoors, but counting this PVC and conduit is tough. I saw the guys count it using a forklift and they looked like they did a good job. Can I just skip the recount and call it good? No, it may be difficult, but you need to recount these products and make sure we have the right quantities. Again, grab some help if needed. You got some wire variance sheets. Be very careful. Look at each length and the corresponding lot and latitude. Double check the size of the wire versus the lot. Make sure that the quantity looks reasonable, that a 100-foot coil isn't marked as 1,000 feet. Take your time. Wire is very costly and we want to make sure it's right. The variance shows we're short 2 of these. That's not much money and that looks painful to count. Can I just skip it? Nope. If it's on the variance report, we need to double check the count. Take the time to make sure each case is the same product and count those loose pieces as well. And remember, when you find discrepancies, don't call for an auditor each time you find one. Keep notes on your report and call them over to correct a batch at a time. Don't be shy when you yell. Make sure those auditors hear you.